Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. Do you sometimes struggle with your parenting role? Do you notice that sometimes you're repeating patterns that you learned in your own childhood? Maybe you are carrying childhood pain that has not been healed, and you notice that it is showing up in your parenting with your own children. Perhaps you yell or get frustrated easily. Maybe you are directing them or telling them what to do all the time, and you notice that your actions are affecting your relationship with your children. Well, parents, I totally understand this. I came from childhood pain and I learned how to be a relational parent with my children. And I can teach this to you as well. This podcast is all about learning how to heal the childhood pain that we are carrying so that we can foster healthy relationships with our kids. Join us every week for a new show, and we will dive into the healing and the fostering of healthy relationships with our children. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast and show. I have a special guest today, so I'm super excited. His name is Ivan Hardcastle. And he is also a parent coach that works with parents that have kids with sensory and emotional challenges so that they can build skills for a thriving home. He's also a occupational therapist and a family man. Welcome, Ivan.
Hey, thank you. Welcome.
I'm so excited to have you here. All
I
right,
am super excited.
you can share some of your expertise and also like the raising of your children, right? You have neurodivergent kids that you've been raising. So that's amazing. Okay, number one, what do you think are the biggest mistakes parents make when they perceive their child as misbehaving?
You know, I think this is such a common thing, and it's such a struggle. Something that I went through as a young parent. I admit to being an idiot when our first couple were born. Um, my wife and I, we were both 21 when we started having kids, and we just didn't even know better. But I think that the biggest mistake that we make as parents when our children are misbehaving, is that we get upset and we yell and we try to force them to be different. We fall into that trap of using that authoritarian approach of you are going to do what I want you to do because I said it. And it really limits our children's ability to develop their own neural pathways in the brain, their own thought processes and behavior processes, because our brains are set up. And I think of it like two polar opposites. One is deep inside of the mind, is the midbrain, and it controls memory and emotions and all the processing of everything that we experience during the day. And the other side is the frontal lobe, up here, right in the front, right behind your forehead. And that's where we make our plans, and that's where we think of, hey, this is Ivan, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm planning to do. And when our children are misbehaving, I guess on top of that, the way to say it is that we think misbehaving as misbehaving rather than our children are trying to communicate a need. And we need to figure out what need that is and how to help them recognize it themselves and how to help meet that so that they can grow. But when we come in there and we demand, and when we get upset too, it shuts down pathways in the brain. And this front part where they can learn and they can grow and they can think turns off. And then it goes back into the emotional side, and they just react, and it makes the problem worse. And then they don't learn. And um, I have parents who say, "Hey, you know what? But this works because my kids are behaving." But again and again and again, I see a pattern of you can train kids to respond to having brains shut down and being trained into reactivity through fear. I'm going to pick on my cousins growing up. And I would go down there and I did not like my uncle. I grew up, I just did not like him. He was very aggressive and forceful from my perspective as a kid. And so they were forced into, it's very authoritarian, very forced into, you are going to do this because I said so. And when they grew up and got out of the house, they got into all sorts of trouble. They had no idea what to do themselves because they hadn't developed that internal sense of, oh, this is what I want to do. This is how I work it. This is how I handle my emotions. This is how I handle my impulses. And they didn't know. It all been forced on them. They didn't have that internal sense. They're doing well now, but good heavens, what a journey, what a long, drawn out process that was for them.
I can relate to this really, really well because my parents were very controlling and told me what to do all the time. And so as a young woman, I did not have confidence because I was
Yeah,
used to someone telling me. And then I always was looking for other people's opinions and I didn't listen to my own voice, right? And I think that's a danger when we are too top down in our parenting, is we're not
yeah.
allowing our children or we're not giving them the message that they can problem solve this. They can regulate themselves. They can figure out what's wrong and how to help themselves, right? And that gives them confidence, you know?
It it creates such an incredible change in our children when they have that confidence, when they're able to internalize all these skills. Um, I love that you spoke about yourself as a young woman and just that confidence piece. And so many of our kids, that is one of the biggest pieces that they lack, is that confidence to be able to be themselves and to do what things are true to them so that they can thrive, and not out of fear and not out of insecurity, but truly understanding who they are and what their interests are and what their emotions are and how to navigate through emotions and understand them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I also believe that we have to model healthy behavior if we want our children to have healthy behavior, right? And actually controlling your kids is not healthy. You don't want them to be controlled when they're adults and to be in a relationships that where they're being controlled, right? And we're modeling that at home. So if they are growing up in a very controlled environment, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience as well, then they attract partners that control them.
Yes.
And so we
Yeah.
have to really be aware that what we are giving them at home is what they will repeat in their adult lives, you
Yeah.
know?
One of the things that I think about is we don't know we don't know what's normal outside of our own experience. We have all these things that happen to us, the ways that we were parented, and then we repeat them because we don't know any different. It's like we're stuck in this little rut on the road and we don't know what's outside of the rut because this is what we've been exposed to. And we think about that's us and we are projecting that onto our children. And we don't think about the fact that our parents were projecting that on us and their parents were projecting it on them. It's been going on for
Yes,
generations. And when there's trauma attached, when there's poor parenting skills attached, that all leads into just repeating it again and again and creating these patterns that are not healthy and not
I
helpful.
agree. I totally agree. Okay, so how do we help parents, or how do you help parents move towards becoming more self-aware?
Yeah, this is the key. So I get really excited when I'm talking to a family, when I'm talking to parents, and they come to this conclusion that, hey, wait a minute, there's something better that I can do. There's a better way to reach my kids, or recognizing that, hey, I don't have the skills to reach my kids. And this is that opportune moment. I love the change model of before anything can happen, you need to recognize that you need to make a change. You aren't making any changes yet, but you need to recognize that there's a change that needs to happen. And then you go into the state of, okay, I'm going to start looking for what I need to do to make a change. And I still haven't started doing anything yet, but I'm actively looking for a solution. And then you start building skills, and it's hard. This is now, okay, I know that I need to make a change. I'm working to make that change. I have to get myself out of this rut. And this is where a lot of people fail. I call this the January goal moment. I'm going to do something. I'm starting to do something, but they try something that's too big, or they try something that they don't have good direction on, and then they fail and they fall back into that rut, and then life continues on and nothing has changed. But being able to get out of that rut and learn a new path until it becomes second nature, it becomes internalized, that is when families thrive. So that is how I've patterned my program. One of the first things that I talk families through is that I don't want them to do big changes. I don't want them to do big changes. I want them to do small changes. And over time, those small changes add up. And the first thing that I start to teach is that self-awareness, and really to change mindset and to look at gratitude and positives throughout the day. Our brains are hardwired neurologically to see negative things in the world, the things that stand out that aren't supposed to be there. So with our children, we notice when they are misbehaving, but we don't notice when they are doing good things and positive things. And so we focus on the negative. And that's probably how we've been taught through from our parents too. I joke, I had somebody in my office, and they were coming by week after week after week, and I have a window that had been being sprayed by sprinklers all summer long, and I hadn't gone out to the outside to get we get hard water deposits on the outside of the window. So inside was clean, outside was gunky. And he would joke with me about it every week. Oh yeah, your window's still foggy. It's still, yep, still need to fix that, still need to fix that. And then I fixed it. And he came in and he didn't notice that the window was clean. He could see
Um,
through it.
okay, you started to freeze. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you froze there too. Where was I?
Oh,
Was
internet connection is unstable. Okay, hold on. I can edit this part. Okay, I think we're good now.
okay. Where
Okay,
was
so
I?
you were at the window
Okay,
that
let me
your
restart
client.
this. So I had this dad that was coming in to see me in my office, and he would look at this window that was being sprayed by the sprinkler and it had all these hard water deposits on it. And he'd joke with me week after week after week because I wasn't going outside to take care of it, and he would just tease me. And so I decided to run my own little experiment, and I cleaned the window, and he came in and he did not say a word because he could see through the window, and there was nothing to trigger his mind that, oh, hey, this window needs to be cleaned. And that's the same thing that we do with our kids. And so I help parents to start with, I help parents to be able to notice the positives and the good things. Just through a 2 minute end of the day, write a couple things down, positive that happened during the day. What are those good moments? And the more that you do that, the more that you attune yourself to be able to pay attention to those things. And then you become more self-aware. And then this is just one little step. And then we can start adding the next step of, okay, now I'm going to start working on the language that I use and paying attention to my language. And I'm going to start working on my parenting approach and just learning step by step by step. And pretty soon you look back and go, wow, wait a minute. I used to yell at my kids all the time. I used to just think of the negatives. I used to just, oh my gosh, I'm giving my kids compliments for all these wonderful things that they're doing. And yeah, they're not perfect. Yeah, they make mistakes, but I handle it so differently. And they handle it so differently now too. And then we just keep going and add more
Love
steps and
that.
more steps and more steps and skills and learning and understanding kids and understanding how the brain works and how to move forward and how to help your kids grow.
I love that step by step because now it's not overwhelming, right? And
Yeah,
then And then you're just slowly getting used to this transformation in your parenting, which is really awesome. Amazing, amazing. Okay. How can we parents help our children to learn body awareness?
So this is an interesting topic and a good jump from where we're at into this topic. Body awareness is an interesting thing. We we downplay so many times how our bodies and minds are connected together. And when we don't and this is part of this is like the second step of the second overall, or maybe the second section. We have all these little steps, and then we get to the second section, and now we've improved our parenting approach, we've improved our mindset, we've made progress, and now we need to understand our children so that we can really interact with them and help them to improve in their emotions and their behaviors and understanding how to socialize and how to be successful in school. And what we don't realize is how much of that really does connect back to our body. So here's a quick overview. Inside of our brain, deep inside, we have this midbrain. Okay, this is where all those emotions are. This is where we get overwhelmed. This is where we have feelings. This is where we have memories. But this is also where we we take all the experiences from every day. This is sight, this is hearing, this is pressure, this is movement, this is understanding one part of the body, how it connects to another part of the body. And when that is processing well and we can understand that information, we can have flow of information in our mind so that our emotions are intact and our ability to focus and our ability to concentrate is intact. But when those pieces are not flowing well, we see children who get overwhelmed very easily. We see children who cannot focus, who are trying to move their bodies to go do things because they recognize that it helps them feel better. But we as parents or teachers or other people, other adults in their lives think, oh, this kid is hyperactive. Oh, this kid is misbehaving. Oh, this kid can't sit still. They're a problem child. They're this, they're that. But really, what it is that so much energy is being taken trying to put these pieces together so that they can understand themselves first beyond being able to push out and now engage and be successful in the world around them. So we need to help them make connections to their body and learn body awareness so that they can then be able to focus and engage and be active. And we look at activity level of, yeah, let's get outside, let's move, let's do heavy, effortful work. Let's do crab walks, let's play on the playground, let's play games where we have to understand body parts, Simon Says, and using compression and wrapping up and all these variety of different activities that help connect the body together through touch, through movement, through pressure, through position. And and then we can go in and teach them how to move forward with their emotions. One of the fantastic connections that we see is that when we have well, and this is directly from research I was looking at lately. When you have anxiety, there's mindfulness tools that will help with anxiety to ground a person into the present. Anxiety is looking for into the future and worrying about future things that haven't happened yet. But one of the ways that we can use our bodies to change that and help calm that anxiety down so that we can be more mindful, we can be more present, is through heavy work activity. And they found that if you can do something heavy, effortful for at least 20 minutes every day, it makes a significant difference in your level of anxiety. It decreases because, yeah, those nerves that are in our muscles directly are affecting that part of our brain that is producing the anxiety.
Mhm,
It actually changes the way that the brain is formed.
mhm. Yeah, I work with a lot of anxious kids as a school counselor, and that's one of the things I teach them is that we have to get out of our heads and into our bodies, right? Because a lot of things are happening in the head. right?
Yeah.
And so we need movement. So we need to incorporate movement every day to calm down the brain, right?
Yeah.
Because the brain is overactive when we're anxious. And so one way to calm it down is to exercise regularly. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting to look at us as people and
Hmm.
to look at our society. And one of the big differences, I mean, we can look at 10 years, 20 years, 50, 100 years. If we go back, life was much more simple and life did not have as many stressors as it does
Yeah.
for us today. And one of the big differences is that, hey, you go back a couple hundred years and to great 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 grandpa, and if there was a stressor, usually it was something very physical, something that you could put your hands on. Maybe it was you didn't have food. Maybe there was an animal that was coming out that was going to hurt you. Maybe it was something very very physical that we could respond to
Yeah.
and get over, and then that stressor was gone. But
Right.
today, so many of our stressors are just as you said, they're in our mind. It's things that we can't actually touch, as these pressures of society and expectation and learning, and we can't really put a handle on it, and our brains haven't adapted to how to handle those things. We still function through physical means, which means
Right.
that, just like you said, we need to get into our bodies and
Right.
work with our bodies.
I love that. I love that. Okay. I'm gonna give you an example because I know parents are probably like, well, how do we do this? What do we do? So, like, if you have a child, let's go into like maybe toddler age, okay?
Okay.
And they're having a meltdown in the grocery store, because they want something, but you don't want them to have that. Let's say it's a candy or something like that. Um, Ivan, tell parents, what should they do?
Yeah, I love that. It's such a common example. Um, so one of this is not the magic bullet, because everybody's a little bit different, but this can be a magic bullet. Now you have a child, you have a toddler who's wanting something, and they have got their mind fixated on it. And for a child that young, one of the things that I would do is I would move myself away from that so that they no longer have that direct input of I can see the candy, I can see the toy, whatever it is that's causing me to get out of sorts. I really want that thing. And I'm going to move them away from it. And if they're a small child and you have them up in your arms, what you can do is start to gently squish and squeeze and even go down their arms, go down their legs, and just give them add pressure as you're bouncing, as you're moving, you're changing head position, you're changing
Mhm.
pressure, you're adding touch, and then talk to them and use these are all co-regulation strategies to
Yeah.
use your emotions and your emotional state to help them calm down. And
Yes.
this, I think, connects back to the first question of, hey, what's the biggest mistake that we make as parents? You're in a grocery store, and the tendency in a grocery store for parents to with upset children is that we feel embarrassed and we feel overwhelmed and we feel stressed.
Hmm.
And we do not recognize how easily children pick up on our own stress.
Yes.
So being able to connect to yourself and being able to work on your own emotions first to say, hey, I am in control. And it doesn't actually matter what other people around me are doing. I am calm and I'm going to move my child away and I am going to help them move, help give them input, but I'm calm myself, and all of that is going to help this child to calm back down and be okay and
Right.
move on.
I love that. I love that so much because I always tell parents that um, our kids are mirrors, and
Yeah,
they can feel our emotions. And so whatever we're feeling, if we're upset, we're stressed, they're going to pick up on that. And so we have to be the calm ones, especially in the storm, right? We're the oak tree in the storm. Like,
yes. Yeah,
we're
I
the
think of
we're
it.
the
Yeah,
oak
I
tree.
I use a different analogy. It's the same thing. I think of like I tell parents to imagine that you are a rock on a beach and here comes the waves. And depending on what type of rock you are, if you are a small rock that's not grounded, the waves came and you are going to get sloshed all over with the waves. But if
Hmm.
you are a large rock and you are set and you are grounded and you are confident in yourself, those waves come and they might overflow you, but they will always pull back away and you are still there and you are calm. Rocks on the
Love
waves
that.
hit, but the rocks are calm.
That's parent strength right there.
Yeah. I one of the lessons I learned as a young therapist, I distinctly remember this day that I was still fresh out. I just graduated. I just started working. I didn't really have mentors around me. I was new in the area, and therapy in my area was fairly new. And I remember that everybody that day, all the kids that I was working with, were just having an off day. And I could not figure out why all these kids they were just upset and they were unruly and they're distracted. And I was thinking, good heavens, I can't wait to the end of this day just to get this day done. And it was sadly, it was in the afternoon when it dawned on me, hold on, Ivan. All these kids are having a hard day. What is the common link? Oh, it's me. Oh, what am I worried about? And I started listing them off. And once I recognized that I was upset, I calmed myself down. The rest of the day, all the kids were just fine. They were calm. It was just me. But I was influencing the other kids by my own emotions.
We have energy to us, and people can feed off that energy, right? Like we
Yeah.
feed off other people's energy, and kids feed off our energy, right? So
Yeah.
that's a really
You
good
can
life
feel it. You
lesson
can feel it. You can walk into a room and you can feel the energy in the room, and you
for
know.
sure.
And our
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
are so sensitive to that.
I know, I know. It's I had a similar experience teaching kindergarten PE. One of the kids fell when we were walking back into the classroom, and then all the other kids started crying. And then I was like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Bring it back to their teacher. I don't know what to do with these little ones. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was not calm like I should have been.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
That's so good. That's so good. Okay. I want to just do a quick recap. I hope I get this right of what we talked about. So for parents, so
yeah.
they have something to remember. Okay. So Ivan was saying that behavior is communicating a need. And we have to figure out what that need is, right? Instead of
Yeah.
just looking at them as, oh, they're just misbehaving, right? We're detectives. We got to figure out what is that need that
Yes.
they are having. And then when we want to become self-aware, then we can start with small changes. We don't have to do big changes, right? And we can focus on gratitude. Like, what are we grateful for? We can start to notice the good things that our children are doing, what we appreciate about them. And that can
Yeah.
help us change our mindset about our parenting in our homes, our families. And then the last thing he said is about body awareness, right? So when when we when we help our kids to to be body aware, to regulate, or to allow them to process what they're experiencing, that actually gives them confidence rather than trying to control them or make them be a certain way. So we can allow them to express how they're feeling and then help them with problem solving of how to regulate, how to move past the anger, the frustration, whatever they're feeling, right? Because they're all feelings. Feelings are
Yeah.
not negative, by the way, parents. All feelings are good. All feelings
Oh,
are communication. So we need to like take that out of our heads that getting angry is bad. It's not. It's good. It's actually good to express it. So is that good, Ivan? And I
that
guess we
was
have to beat the rock in the oak tree.
Yeah, we gotta be the rock and the oak tree. Yeah. Yeah. No, well said. Well
Yeah.
summarized.
Okay, good, good. All right.
Yeah.
Can you please share with parents how they work with you, where they can find you?
Fantastic. So, number one, you can reach out to me on Facebook. You can look up Ivan M. Hardcastle. That's me. You can find me on Instagram as Ivan underscore the parent coach. Those are the two easiest ways to reach out to me. And then you can go straight to my website. It's still under development. It's growing. It's there, but there's more changes coming. And that is at www.castletwinfalls.com. And just like it sounds, CASTLETWINFALLS, Twin Falls, Castle for Hardcastle. Reach out and then we'll set up a quick um, Google Meet to just talk to each other and find out how I can help you and how I can support you in your growth.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ivan. I really enjoyed our talk today. And parents, thank you for joining today. And I am so happy that we got to unveil some of the issues that parents are having. Um, Joining me next time on the Masterful Parenting podcast and show. Love you, parents. Take care. Hold on. I don't know where the stop share is. Oh, here it is. Okay. Thank you, parents, for joining the show today. I hope it was valuable and that you have some useful tools to use with your children. If this show blessed you or changed you in any way, I would appreciate a review on my podcast, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or perhaps you could even recommend our Masterful Parenting to your family and friends. Thank you so much, parents.